Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. Today's explainer takes us deep into the secure contract audit capstone, and we are tackling a seriously critical survival skill, building an airtight audit checklist. Because, let's face it, without one, you're basically leaving the front door to your smart contract wide open for reentrancy and all sorts of other nasty attack vectors. Let's turn that abstract chaos into some practical security. Okay, so ask yourself, would you ever build a massive skyscraper using a coffee stand napkin sketch? Right, probably not. Yet relying on scattered ad hoc scoping nodes to actually run a full vulnerability assessment, that is exactly like handing a construction crew a napkin. We've already defined our scope and timeline in our previous overview lesson, but if we don't convert those notes into a rigorous checklist, we're honestly just auditing on vibes. And that is exactly how millions of dollars in vulnerabilities quietly slip into production. No way we're letting that happen. So to stop relying on vibes and start relying on verifiable evidence, we're going to treat our audit process like a manufacturing assembly line, moving systematically through 4 distinct blueprint phases. First, anatomy of a checklist. Second, triage and test mapping. Third, proving your audit work. And finally, automating the workflow. All right, Section 1, anatomy of a checklist, moving from abstract scope to executable actions. Let's see how this builds our foundation. Okay, so what makes a checklist actually work? Well, every great one needs these core elements to completely strip away any ambiguity. The title and description that tells us the what and why. The priority score ties right back to your audit timeline. Then you have test case mapping, which provides the exact steps. Evidence types tell us what counts as actual proof. And documentation expectations tell us exactly how to report it all. Breaking it down this way ensures everybody knows exactly what done actually looks like. It saves you from those endless, exhausting arguments with your team so you can focus purely on hunting bugs. Moving right along to Section 2, triage and test mapping, priority and proof. This is where we decide what gets tested first. For this, we use a strict 1 to 6 priority scale. Think of it like emergency room triage, but for your code. This isn't just some random number pulled out of thin air. A 1 is critical, meaning a bug here directly drains the treasury, all the way down to a 6 for those low-priority annoyances. You tackle the life-threatening injuries before you fix the scraped knees, right? This contrast is absolutely crucial. A critical item, like an exploit enabling immediate fund loss, gets deep, aggressive testing on day 1 of your assessment. On the flip side, a low-priority item may be like a minor glitch in some auxiliary utility. Yeah, that just waits its turn. Now, test case mapping. This is literally like writing an exact instruction manual for your assembly line workers. You can't just write, check the code. That's way too vague. You need to dictate the precise tools. Should they use static analysis to scan the code structure, or dynamic fuzzing to throw massive amounts of random data at it to see if it breaks, or maybe targeted unit tests? You have to make it so granular that literally any auditor could step in and rerun your steps perfectly without ever having to guess your intentions. Up next, Section 3, proving your audit work, focusing on the real-world application. Let's step out of the theoretical for a second. So how does this actually work when auditing something massive, like a complex token sale or a treasury contract? Well, for high-priority scope items like checking access control admin rights, we map out exact test cases and demand concrete expected evidence. We want failing unit test logs or transaction traces showing the exact flow of funds. Same goes for checking reentrancy on withdrawal functions. We demand a minimal reproducer contract, which is basically a tiny dummy contract that successfully proves the hack works. We demand this concrete proof up front to instantly kill that classic developer excuse of, well, it works perfectly on my machine. We deal in reproducible proof here, not opinions. During the actual audit, you're going to follow this relentless, highly efficient cycle. Step 1, record the item. Step 2, run the explicit test. Step 3, attach the exact evidence. And Step 4, report the finding. If a test fails, you document the reproduction steps immediately. If it passes, you attach the logs to prove it. Zero guesswork, maximum efficiency. It massively speeds up your peer review. Finally, Section 4, automating the audit workflow, machine-readable logic. We've reached the end of the assembly line. Automation absolutely kills manual errors. By encoding your human-readable checklist entries, priority scores, and strict evidence requirements into a simple machine-readable JSON script, your dusty old spreadsheet totally transforms. It becomes a dynamic, executing part of your actual workflow.
What this really means is your automated delivery pipelines, your CI/CD, can read test prefixes like static or unit to automatically trigger the right security tests. It runs the checks and instantly dumps that verifiable evidence straight into your final findings bucket. It's wildly efficient, actually a lot like the automated learning frameworks we build at Forge College to verify your skills in real time.
Seriously, if you take away just one single thing from this explainer today, burn this into your memory. Ambiguity is the absolute enemy of security. A structured, verifiable checklist destroys the ambiguity that lets critical vulnerabilities slip through the cracks. It grounds your entire process in hard artifacts instead of just endless debates. So, this canonical machine-readable checklist, it's going to be your primary weapon for our next lesson. That's where you'll get your hands dirty, conduct a hands-on initial vulnerability assessment, and see exactly how this blueprint drives the entire workflow from start to finish. So are you ready to turn your blueprint into an unbreakable vault? Or are you going to keep building skyscrapers on napkins? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Make sure to visit forge.college to learn more about smart contract security, explore our full track structure, and dive deeper into the wild world of Web3. Until next time, if your code isn't proven secure, just assume it's already compromised.